Hello, my lovely listeners. It's so great to be with you again for the latest episode of Get on the Grid with Chessie Roberts. This time, my guest is Gail Thomas. Gail, it's wonderful to have you on the show. How are you doing today?
Oh, fantastic. Good morning, Chessie.
Lovely, lovely. Gail started a group called Rowan Tree Grove on Facebook as a place for discussions about energy healings, instructions, spiritual guidance, many other topics, and instruction on the practical applications of energy work in our daily life. We don't realize how much we use energy, and I don't mean the lights and the TV and all of that, just from dawn till dusk. And these discussions are extremely interesting. She talks about working with your spirit guides and other entities that are assisting us, I can't talk this morning, in healing work in a variety of methods used in healing. She's a Gail is, not the tree. She's a bioenergy therapist, multidimensional healing facilitator, intuitive empath-telepath, and we're going to have to talk about that one. That one's new to me, Gail. She's a light worker and a medium. Her work is dimensional, both in this world that we all work in, as well as in many other multiple dimensions beyond this reality. She works outside the matrix, outside the box. Gail has over 20 years' experience combining the energy therapies of Usui, like I said, I'm having trouble talking this morning. Say his name for me. Thank you. Karuna Reiki. Reconnection Healing, DNA Activation, and being connected to the universal energy grid and matrix energies. She also teaches other systems to connect and channel universal energy from many different types of needs and situations. Thank you for helping me talk this morning, Gail. I don't think my mouth is awake yet.
Some of those words are hard. No, I know. Some people are familiar with Usui and this Reiki system. And
I have to ask you, just to get us started, how in the world did you get interested in all this and get started doing this?
Well, as they say, once upon a time, I had a divorce many years back. And after being clean and free of that environment, you tend to fall back into what you should have done before you met somebody, right? You know, so we go off track when we get married, right? So there's a magazine, I'm from Los Angeles, there's a magazine called Whole Life Times, and it was always, when I looked through it, I'd see Reiki and other stuff, and what the hell is Reiki? So after my divorce, so I looked at it again, and it kind of like hit home. So it's a form of spiritual cleansing when you go through this type of training, and then you get to see your path more after that. And so I went through all the various Reiki training, and eventually I found a teacher who was on a fast track, attuned me to the Karuna Reiki Master Teacher level. It's in a matter of not even a couple months, because you see people who need this information right away. After you go through that kind of training, you have a lot of shifting of consciousness and awareness of things and how you deal with people. And our spirit guides and angels tend to continue training us and attuning us. So, many years go by, and I'm doing that, helping people out. And then you see something else that attracts you, ooh, shiny, and you go and learn this technique or you learn that method. And, again, your consciousness continues to expand, awareness of the world around you and how to do things on different levels. And you do that. And every couple of years you look for something new if it attracts you, not because someone said you should, but it's like, oh, I should learn that. So you learn that and talk to many people. They're all the same wavelengths and, learn how to use it every day in your life. So that answers that question, I think.
No, I completely understand. When I first started working in all of this energy stuff and the Reiki and all the other things that I've worked with and through and in, I just wanted a flip-top head. Just pour it all in. Let me have it all. I want to know everything.
Right. Well, I didn't think that at the beginning, but because of my teacher, and that's one thing people don't realize with a Reiki teacher who has many systems in their spirit, in their body, when they attune you, you think you're getting just that one little attunement, but you're really getting all the knowledge and energy that comes forward into you. That will percolate in your body until you see something, then something will go, I should really look into this, and you can't help it. It's like a magnet. You're just drawn to it, and you learn the system and learn more. From each teacher you learn more. And then you realize at some point you become a master teacher of yourself, that you can teach and explain people the same thing they're trying to learn how to do.
I get
I've
that.
encountered,
It's kind of like pulling a string on a web. You pull on part, and the next thing you know, something over there is jiggling, and you just have to go see what it is.
And over the many, many years when I've talked to people who understand Reiki or learn Reiki, I try to learn 1 and 2. They haven't advanced to any level beyond. And most cases, it's their instructor who either holds them back or is asking too much money, and they lose interest in learning how to use Reiki. It isn't just, like you see in the pictures on YouTube, it isn't just intoning the sound of the symbol and using the symbol and writing it. It's fully activated in your body. It's just energy. These are just training wheels to get you used to how to work with energy. That's what they really are. It's thinking it. I equate it to the light switch on the wall. You flip the light switch, it's on. And many people think, well, if I put the switch on, does it take a while to come on? No, it's instant. Energy is instant.
I know that after my attunement, all sorts of things came into focus for me, and I wasn't expecting it. Like you said, I was expecting that one little narrow band of enlightenment or attunement, if you want to call it that. But as I became more and more aware of what was happening, I became more and more aware of what was happening.
Yes. It's not just a universal, it's a multi-dimensional universal concepts come down to you, and it's filtered by your body. You figure out what you understand will work. The rest will come later. But some people get overwhelmed, and they're shifting of awareness and consciousness, and some people have a hard time shifting. Others are just used to it, like me. Some get a flu-like symptom. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's true. I'm going to jump to this empath-telepath that was in your bio. What exactly is that, and how do you get interested and wrapped up in that direction?
Right. Most everybody are empathic and telepathic, but they have been trained not to by their religious upbringing, by other types of programming in their families, as well as we're accustomed to radio and television. We used to be able to do this maybe 100,000 years ago, but those gifts were taken away, so we'd learn a different system, like electricity, things like that. So, like I said, the body has a way to communicate to each other, soul communication. Empath means that you are sensitive enough to feel other people's emotions and feelings and physical problems, as well as their telepathic, as well as their mental activity. Telepath is the same thing. The term psychic is an all-purpose term, meaning you are a hypersensitive being and you can feel their emotions and see things. I don't like the word psychic. We are hypersensitive beings. We just are learning how to use our gifts again after being asleep for so long. And this is true for over the last, couple thousand years. We're learning how to use them. So being an empath-telepath means I tend to be a loner. I go into crowds from time to time, but I pick my crowds. And, sometimes there's a lot of negative people are in there. I ignore them. I've learned how to shield myself in such a way that it doesn't affect me. But a lot of empaths are this way. They cannot stand being outside with people. They cannot tolerate their energy fields. That's what it comes down to. An empath means you sense other people's feelings, emotions, and whatever is going through their head.
I can certainly relate to that. I have discovered over the last, I'm going to say 6 months, all of my empathic/telepathic friends it seems that we're more aware of other people's stuff. I think it's part of the awakening, the whatever you want to call it. But I've had a lot of my friends who do not live in my geographic location getting in touch with me saying, I can't get you out of my mind, what's going on, what's happening, tell me what's going on in your life. And I have been going through some struggles and some challenges, and it's just life, it happens while you're busy making other plans. And things have been a big paradigm shift for my husband and me. And all of our friends are starting to, and it's been going on for about 6 months. And so all my telepathic and empathic friends are starting to gravitate in my direction to ask what's happening, and I find that incredibly supportive and helpful, because as each one turns their attention to us, I can feel our energies being lifted up out of this miasma of change that we're going through, and it's not a bad thing. It's this chaos before the new building kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But I have been sensing this energy shift as more and more people are saying, here, let me send you good energy for this, and aligning with what it is we're trying to do. So I totally understand what you're saying. And this isn't something that happens overnight, but yet I guess it could, yeah?
I wouldn't say overnight. We do shift dimensions. It's been going on for a long time, for many, many years. Over the past 20 years, when they say we're in the third dimension, we're now entering the fourth dimension. What that means is that the whole planet and the universe is shifting. It vibrates, and it'll vibrate to a higher dimension. And the people on the planet, those who understand, will adjust. Those who don't, remain in their understanding of their level with their groups. Those of us who remember and are adapting, we just adapt and flow, go with the flow, my favorite term, that we're now vibrating at that particular planetary dimensional level. We're like 5 or 6 now, I think, and we're going to go into the 6th dimension, as they say, soon. We're just vibrating, basically. So that your empathic, telepathic gifts kick in such a way that you are aware of your friends. No matter where they are around the world, you are communicating to them at soul level. That's soul communication. People don't understand this, but we do. It's not telepath. It's soul. You're sensing them. Telepath is when you're picking up their thoughts in your mind very strongly, that something is wrong, and they need to talk to you right away, something has happened, that's great, whatever. You don't feel it bad thoughts. It's like something wonderful has happened. They want to talk to you. And they'll call you within a short amount of time, and then you call them. And I was just thinking about you will come into play. It's all vibration. We are vibrational beings living on this planet, adapting as best as we can, in spite of our governments and our planetary politics and the negativity of people. And most of us combat it with positive thinking and sending lots of positive energy to the planet to combat the darkness, which is people who don't understand. I hope that helps.
I think it did. What I'm running into, as personally I'm talking about in my work, as my positivity increases, it seems like some of the people around me are trying desperately to look for the negative in everything. They're trying to damp those higher vibrations. Is this a natural phenomenon, or do you have any feelings on this?
No, that's normal. As the people's consciousness and awareness evolves on this whole planet, I'm talking about every country, the governments don't like it, and they'll do the best they can to knock us down, but most of us say, poof on you, We have a different agenda, and we know who we are. Mm-hmm. And your friends who are negative don't understand. That's the thing. You can't explain it to them because they're at a place in time where they're not ready. We just continue evolving and vibrating. We will vibrate enough strongly, eventually the whole world will be affected. That's the game plan, I guess, the universe has in store for us.
That little aspect of things. I'm sorry, go ahead. I thought you're done.
Well, just to answer your question more about the people, the way the world's bombarded with information. We see the triple-digit numbers all the time. Those are, sometimes your ear will ring. Not the people who have tinnitus, but when your ear starts to ring, we're getting downloads of information. We're constantly receiving information. And we understand, we get the download, we understand, eventually it percolates up, and we go, oh, okay. So we have this understanding, this knowing all the time. And the people who don't understand, because they are not receiving information because of their negativity, they will not understand. Okay.
Well, my mind's going 20,000 miles an hour, and I've got so many questions.
Right.
What do you think about the way technology is amping up this energy exchange? Do you feel that it's and not like we can do anything about it at this point, but do you feel like it's a benefit to us to be able to share this information as quickly as we do, or would organic spreading of information be better, do you think?
Oh, wow. There are two schools of thought on that. The technology was created because people were remembering how, but thought mechanically, how can I do it? like at the beginning of the light bulb and the beginning of the telephone, electricity. They knew that we could do this before that, but in their memories, they didn't know how to bring it forward. They had to create a machine to do that. So, yeah, our technology has advanced quite a bit. Sometime in the future, perhaps the far future, I'm not sure when exactly, we will not use some people don't use devices like this. If you ever live in a cabin in the forest, for a vacation rather, and you turn off your cell phone, you don't have a TV set, you may have a radio if you're lucky, but you feel so cleaner and energetically more active, you can actually sense and see more people because you're using your own radio, your internal radio. So it's a personal preference. Some people will use these technologies. I don't think it enhances anything. I think it's more polluting, actually. It's a dirtier type of energy, being the AC/DC and not the one that Tesla was trying to get us to use. It's just there. We adapt to it, and we'll eventually stop using it someday when we learn how to protect our gifts better.
So the pendulum will swing back in the other direction. Like my husband likes to say, here we stand on the cutting edge of ancient wisdom.
Exactly. Like when they recently discovered in the pyramids, releasing the information, they see the pictures, and they never put in the history books about the giant light bulb. They didn't have any torch in the pyramids when they were painting and building inside. How did they have light? There were no torches on the wall. There's no, from the smoke sediment on the ceiling. What did they use to make light inside? Was it mirrors? They had light bulbs. They had electricity. They had a battery system, a copper and acid system, and they actually had light bulbs, and that's how come they could work inside the pyramid. Okay,
I remember seeing something about that on Discovery Channel.
Yeah, there's a lot of other things.
Yeah.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Wow.
From
the sublime to the ridiculous and back to the sublime again. I love it.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, as energetic beings, we're just learning to remember our spiritual DNA. It's not so much our physical, genetic DNA. It's the spiritual DNA, your essence of who you've been countless lifetimes. You come down to a human body and you live there for a time and you jump into another system, another body, or off planet, go to another world. And that's why some people who want to emulate themselves look like an animal, who will get the tattoos and ball bearings, whatever, be a lizard or be a tiger. Have you seen these guys? Or the ones who, whatever it is that they remember from other worlds, they are becoming that personality because they remember it so strongly. We're not in a human body of recent lifetimes, but they jump around from planetary system and dimensional. People don't remember. Our essence, our energy just jumps around to wherever it wants to go to learn stuff. And we come back, the collective eventually, and do it again.
I've had a lot of discussion on the show about our I don't want to say programming, that's not the word I want, our decision before we manifested on this plane to learn and do certain things. How do you feel about that concept?
First of all, I'm going to talk about the Akashic Records. People have different understandings of what that is. And it's really a library of consciousness. It's what we are. The Akashic Records are us. In our essence of energy, our soul, when we are in a human body, we are learning things. Everything from, good and bad, negative, positive, happy, joy, whatever we learn and experience. When we leave the body, we go back to the collective consciousness. And you can call it God, you can call it angels, whatever people want to refer to it. It is a collective consciousness, a dimensional, above dimensions. We bring back all that knowledge to that collective. And we become one with the consciousness. So then we say, well, let's go on vacation again. Let's pick another planet and go pick another body to experience their world, And that's how we decide what we're going to do. So when people have 1,000 questions, and I often tell them, well, focus and meditate a bit and talk to the librarian of the Akashic Records. And I'll give them some type of avatar thing. Ask someone's permission to download information on a specific topic, and yes, you'll get information. Well, you have to be very specific on your question with the Akashic Records for that knowledge to come down, and then you'll have an answer. You may not like it, but you'll have an answer. So, yes, we do travel from body to body and world to world, dimension to dimension, planetary system, because it's fun. That's what we do.
All right. As we transfer our information back into the Akashic record.
Right.
Do you think that this information we're putting back in is, I'm not sure how I want to word the question, is it all-inclusive of everything that we've learned and experienced, the truth and the not-so-true stuff? Does it all get sorted out when it's back in the library? Right,
pretty much. It's just we just release that knowledge to the collective consciousness. We're still who we are, our spark, or whatever we are, our consciousness, personality. But we release this information to the collective, and here you go. You know, it's like going to the bank. You just drop your money in, and they have it. And it gets sorted out. And so when people have questions, they'll contact or they'll meditate and then ask Spirit or God for guidance, and down comes this information. It's that simple. Thought and energy is fast. Faster than you could possibly understand. Faster than a blink of an eye.
Right. All right. Let me try to rephrase this a little bit, because I was getting real specific here. Let's say that I experienced something that my biological perception, it was horrific, it was bad, but it was not correct information as far as how the universe really works. Does that get sorted out through there, or is that still there for somebody else to pick up and do the wrong thing too?
Right. No matter what we experience on this planet, no matter how horrific, what man does to man in horrific ways is terrible. I know what you're referring to. It's not all positive love and light. We experience whatever we experience, everything from, even an example, if someone is born and then lives a life and then has a horrific death and then goes back to the consciousness, they bring that knowledge forward to the collective. The reason is that this planet has a lot of potential, but there's a lot of negative and horrific things going on constantly. And why does man do what they do to each other, or women? You know, it's a terrible thing that some people in some countries do horrible things to people. We bring that knowledge back so that others who are looking to investigate or see a planet may want to come down and either help, or they want to come down to investigate, or just to see why people do, what they do. So it's if you're planning a vacation, you look at all the brochures, see all the pretty pictures, all the negatives and pros of why you want to go to that island or that city, and you review all the information, then you go there. It's the same thing when you're in the collective. Which planet do I want to investigate now? Do I want to be born or just go down there and visit? So
this is kind of a big research project, huh?
Exactly. Always ongoing, yes. It's the same information that's compiled into their databases, if you want to refer to it that way. The same thing, but, the universal, beyond universal concepts, and dimensional.
Wow. I was reading a book the other day from a friend of mine. It hasn't been published yet, so I'm not going to give away too much. But one of the things that he discusses in the book is the fact that there are all kinds of, I don't know how to say this either. I know my listeners are saying, Chessie, wordless? Are you kidding me?
Just say any which way you want, because I understand.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm going to go with it. Basically, that different life is seated in different planets or on different planets in different dimensions just to gather this information. Have you got anything to say about that?
Can you repeat your question again? I understand what you're saying, but repeat it one more time.
I can hardly hear you. What did you say?
Repeat your question one more time.
Okay, let me give it another shot. The information that I've received is that different life forms have been seeded on different planets and in different dimensions so that we can gather more of this information that we've been talking about for the records. What is your feeling about that?
Oh, yes, we've been seeded.
I'm sorry?
Yes, I agree with what the woman, the question you're saying. Yes, seeded is that there are higher beings here in human form, if you want to look at it that way. Other highly intelligent alien races are here all the time, and they monitor us. They give us information like you're just saying. A lot of times when we get the download, it isn't always out of the universe. It's here on the planet. These people live here, on our planet in their dimension or in our dimension, and not necessarily in spaceships. They just live wherever they live, and they will release information to us to help raise our consciousness. Yes, that's been going on a long time. But we're a science experiment here, this planet, all these people.
That's comforting.
I mean, for 100,000 years or more, yeah, they've been watching us and raised us and educated us. And I mean, when I hear the Adam and Eve story, I wonder, where do the other people come from that these people find, you know?
I've always wondered that.
I say, where did Lilith go? She ran off in this what village, you know? So, yes, there were people here, and we'll argue that's another story altogether. People will argue that point. But, yeah, they've always been around watching us. Yeah, so just their experiment that went wrong, I think.
Wow. The more I look into this, the more overwhelmed I become by all the information that's out there. I kind of have to sift through it and decide what resonates at this 5 minutes. And that's okay,
right.
Yeah?
Yeah. Well, it's just that people become overwhelmed only because the back of the brain says, yeah, that's correct. The front brain, your thinking brain says, no, that's not right. That's not how I was taught. And it's like that's what you're fighting is just accept it and let it go, because if it's going to work for you, it will come up to you in different ways, in different communications and discussions with people. You'll hear more information come through in a variety of ways. Some people are the teachers. They'll come through and talk to you. You just won't know it, but you'll hear it. So, yeah, just don't worry about it. You can't do anything about it. You're fighting your brain programming against your what's really the truth, and it'll come out when it's supposed to.
The reason I ask the question is I've got this big old skeptical gene that jumps up and says, yeah, right, really? Do you really believe that? And it's funny because I have always used that, I thought, to my benefit to protect me from shysterisms and that sort of thing. But what's happening in my little pumpkin head is that I will keep something at bay until all of a sudden some piece of information caused it to resonate very deeply with me, and I have to go back and look at it again and go, oh, is that what's going on? So I think skepticism is a good thing because it keeps us from just believing everything all at one time, but it sort of acts like a filter so that your truth will get through to you when it's time for you to understand it. Or am I totally missing the point here?
No, that's one way to put that, to say that kind of a comment. It has to do with a person's religious upbringing and political upbringing because of the way things are going. And then when you know truth, you hear a truth, you understand it. It doesn't matter what it is, what someone's saying. You just know whether they're lying to you and your truth. That's where your telepathic, empathic gifts come in. You see things in the truth, the true form. That you cannot lie. You can't create an image and project it as something else. People know the difference. So when you're hearing information, whether it's from like what my comments or other people who are writing books or some show that you're watching, documentary, there's parts of it that are true and parts of it are not. And what is true will ring and you'll understand. That's when you're, like I said, your empathic gifts say, yes, that's correct. And, of course, we were raised, and everybody who's ever raised in a highly religious, functional environment, that's all wrong and lies, and, that's truth. So you just, you just let it all flow, and you'll understand what you need to know at the time you need to know it, however it works for you.
The other thing I have come to find out is that your truth, and I'm speaking personally to each different person who's listening, I don't mean collectively, that comes later, but I have discovered that your truth can change from 1 minute to the next, because what's true in this little situation turns out not to be true in another one, and as we get these little blocks of information, they become bigger pieces of information. Until all of a sudden you see something you never saw before. Right. Is that what you're saying, or is that a little too simplistic?
No, that is true. That it is a personal truth that you experience, and you see the situations, trying to tell a friend what you experienced. Some of them will understand bits and pieces of it. It all goes back to not your conscious mind, it's your soul. Your soul knows the truth. Your soul experiences what it needs to, or what it understands. I'm not talking about the brain now. It's your soul will tell you what's right and what's wrong. Your heart chakra will tell you what's right and what's wrong.
Right.
If you see something, you know it's wrong, it's wrong. If you hear something that's wrong, you hear something. Like a politician. If he's talking out of his mouth, it's like, but you're wrong. You're lying. Okay, so you know right there that this is truth, this is the wrong truth. And when someone's trying to sell you some product that you know is not good, that's the wrong truth.
Right.
And when it's something you really need, if you take whatever it is, an energy therapy system or healing or medicine, but it has a vibration to it, you'll know whether it's true for you or true for everybody else. It's going to be helpful knowledge. It's all knowledge. That's what it comes down to. Do you want to go with that full of information or not? You don't have to. Pick out what you need. Use what you want. It's a smorgasbord.
Take what you need and leave the rest, huh?
That's right.
As you were talking, I'm reminded, my longtime listeners know this story very well, of the time the angel took me up to see One Truth, Many Paths. And this conversation is that an affirmation on an energetic level, and I have never perceived it that way before. I've always seen it as a picture in my head of the big tree and all the paths, meaning there are different ways to look at everything, and religion's not the answer, science isn't the answer. It's what's true for you in that moment. But I see this on an energetic grid as we're talking here, and it's kind of trippy.
Oh yes. I know those teachers. Yes, sometimes I'm sleeping, they like to do that. They'll take you out of body to the energy grid, remind you this is what's out there. It's multidimensional. This is what you see is one grid. It's like this beyond that. If you can see further beyond that picture, you can see a whole lot more. It's just a grid of information and knowledge. In one of my trainings, Dr. Eric Pearl has a system called the Reconnection. And what it's designed to do is to connect your energy field to the grid, the universal grid. And everybody who goes through the training has to have a couple energy sessions first to connect you. And then in the training, you learn how to do this. And it upgrades your DNA also in a long process. As your DNA is upgraded, you, again, learn more, understand a great deal more, and can swim through this ocean of knowledge in a variety of ways to understand. You accept what makes sense to you. You ignore what doesn't sound right. If it's truthful, you'll explore it and check it out. If it's not so truthful, you may ignore it, or if it's worthwhile or not explained correctly, it's awareness, it's consciousness, it's your spirit. It's how you perceive everything around you. And this is outside of our control religious doctrine, because we weren't not meant to be that way. That helps? So yes, the energy grid is there. It's a matrix, but not the matrix programming people think it is. It is just an energy grid that we are connected to. You can, as your telepathy and empathy work in conjunction, you can talk to anybody you want to around the world or outside space. It just depends on how developed it is, how strong you are in your focus and communication.
Well, that's kind of what my program Get on the Life Energy Grid does. I've got a crystalline grid that I connect to every once in a while, once a week, if not more. And what that has taught me is how to tap into this grid matrix that you're talking about. And it's got to be one of the most powerful feelings I've ever received. And the information that you get while you're connected to that in a conscious, aware way is tremendous. And the thing is, I think we're all connected to it on an unconscious, unaware level that sort of keeps us from running into each other and walking into rocks and stuff. But on that energetic level, things kind of, pardon the pun, crystallize and become a little clearer, yeah?
Right. Well, that would be an Akashic record system. Right. And I don't know where the term Akashic records came from. It's probably from the ancient Hindus. But, yes, it's knowledge. It's a collective So you're connected to a collective of conscious beings. You think of it that way. That light switch thing, you turn it on, okay, I'm there. I have a question, guys. Can you help me out with a problem? Or how do you explain multidimensional concepts? You know, you ask them a question and they will filter it down to you, but it depends how well you understand the concepts. Because thinking out of the box, beyond the matrix of our world, not the matrix of the universe. So when you begin to think in different ways, higher dimensional thinking is not the same as human thinking because you're not in the body when you're thinking this. You're out of the body. Even though you're sitting here, your essence will go out there to get information and bring it back, you know, like going to get donuts and come back, so that we understand more. People meditate and go, okay, now I understand. It's that fast.
One of the things that I run into with my clients and students is they want to know how to hear this information. And I don't think it always comes in as an audible thing, does it?
No,
I get more feelings and pictures in my head.
Right. What I do with people by doing energy work on and they want to be able to hear better, first of all, it has to do with their energy field and their chakras have to be cleansed, re-energized, new programming added so they will help hear and see. These are the third eye. You can sometimes see with the physical eyes, depending on your gift. And hearing, you may hear them like you and I are discussing, or you may hear them all telepathically in the mind. But the area around the ears is a chakra, and you have to clear that, and you have to help them understand what you do hear, learn to focus on. Most people usually hear for the first time their name being called. I'm looking in the room like, who's calling me? Or they'll hear chimes, tinkling bells, something like that. That's to get your attention. Sometimes they'll actually yell at you. Your name's so loud you wonder, who the heck was that? That's just your guides getting you. I've had that. Get my attention. I've had to focus on something, and they want, hey, hey, you. That helps you to focus on them for the moment so they can connect you so they can help you further. The clairaudient gifts, that takes time to develop because you have to think differently.
I found out that with a clairaudience, you have to get your own head to be quiet so that you can hear the other thing, and that's not always the easiest thing to do. But I think my very first experience with this connection was, and people are going to laugh at me, but it was a nagging feeling. It was a, I can't think of the word I want.
You're saying the guide was playing at you and nagging at you?
Yeah. What I was doing is I was I was learning the song, the Edmund Fitzgerald.
Okay.
And if you don't know that, Google it. YouTube it. It's out there. And when I got to the part where it said, when the old cook came on deck, I got this really weird sensation that I needed to find out what his name was. And it hounded me, it nagged me, it pursued me. And this was way back, 25 years ago, when I wasn't connected to any of this. But it just got to be an obsession. That was the word I was looking for. It was an obsession with me. I had to find out what that man's name was because for some reason he wanted me to know. And I did. I found out what his name was, and it was funny because I got part of the name from this obsessive feeling that I needed to connect with him. And when I found out what his name was, I was right. And as I started performing the song later, I always gave honor to the people who died on the ship. And the more I did that, the less obsessive that feeling became.
Right.
And I had to read that as just the other side wanted some kind of an acknowledgement that they had lived and what they did. And the more I did it, the less the feeling of angst became.
Right.
And I did not recognize that for what it was until just now as we were talking, which happens so often on my show.
And that's normal. There's one thing that a lot of people who are slowly becoming more aware and their consciousness develops and their gifts develop, that there's I wouldn't say it's a fine line, but you become aware of the spirit world more clearly, and you're vibrating at that level. in that you will communicate to a variety of entities that, if you allow it, will want to come and talk to you and bug the crap out of you because they either are lonely or they want to go home or whatever they want. They'll come and talk. They just want to talk, And then as your energy consciousness, your awareness keeps shifting, you can change different frequencies. You can change to a different frequency that works for you, that you want to be at. I tend to vibrate above the level of the spirit world because I don't work in that world. I work beyond it. But what you were experiencing when your gifts evolved, that you are, like you said, the person, one of the people on that ship who had died wanted to communicate. You sensed this. You found out who he was, and you gave him acknowledgement. This is all they wanted to be remembered. That's all. Their names to be remembered who died on that ship. It was a horrible thing. So I become aware of spirit guides and animal guides and spirits of the forest, spirits of the ocean, all the elementals. We become aware of the spirit realm completely. And then there are ascended masters. So we vibrate to each one, or we're vibrating at that level to communicate to each of them. It just depends some people are comfortable working in the spirit realm. Some don't like it and they shut down. And others, they'll start drinking or taking drugs to stop it because they don't know how to stop it, because they don't know how to control it or protect themselves. And some people it causes psychosis. So it's vibrating at a specific level. You communicate to the beings in that level. You were vibrating and he felt you, and he communicated to you, the spirit. You do the right thing.
Well, it was quite an experience. I don't think I'll ever forget it. The ability to recognize it for what it was at this late date kind of makes me feel a little bit better about it, because at one time I did think I was losing my mind, and I know my husband was thinking I had lost something like my senses. But you were talking about different frequencies and levels. It's kind of like tuning a radio, don't you think? Once you get used to it and start moving back and forth between these frequencies, it's hard to go back to the lower frequencies because they just don't resonate with you at all. And trying to be around that is, I'm going to say, painful on many, many levels. But as you start to attune to these upper frequencies and resonate with them, you can kind of bounce back and forth between them if you get proficient at that, can't you?
Yeah, that's a very good analogy. Yes, just like a radio station, only you're thinking, I want to be in this level now, not that level, and then you just focus on it. I often refer to, when I'm training energy, using practical applications, the energy work, is focused intention. Two great words right there, focused intention.
Yeah, really.
And people don't understand, well, you focus intention on driving to work every day so you won't kill somebody or they won't kill you. When you're working, when you're typing, when you're reading, when you're eating, when you're doing anything that requires focused attention, you're doing that. It's the same with energy work, only it's much stronger because you're using your nervous system, the energy of your brain, your body, your mouth, your eyes, your focused intention to focus that energy for something you want or need. And then to change your frequencies from the spirit realm to above the spirit realm. If you want to exist in the level above that, you just think, I'm going to go be here for the rest of the day and see what happens. Not much, but it's a different feeling. Have them bothering you. Yeah, if I drive by cemeteries, I see them waving and bouncing around and talking. And no, I'm sorry, guys, I'm not here to help you. There are other people who are more proficient at that who will work with you.
Yeah,
that's not my goal. Like that.
Well, I want to talk to you for just a minute about your third eye. You commented about that earlier. I have been working on getting that to open to where I'm consciously aware that it's open. I'll put it that way. I'm sure it's open more than I know it is because of some of the work that I do. But I was doing an exercise one day, and all of a sudden I saw, not with my eyes, but in this third eye area, a mandala of what looked like a city. And I thought, well, this is very cool and interesting. So I went around doing a little investigating and found out that it was an artist's rendition, and I'd never seen it before, of what they call nirvana or the upper realms, or There's several different names for it.
Shambhala, yeah, Shambhala.
Yeah, Shambhala. That's exactly the word. And that's what I found. And I had seen that, and I can't call it back up. Do you have any suggestions as to what I could do to kind of make that more of a conscious aware thing?
Shambhala is a dimensional city, that's why. It's not on the planet Earth. It's a specific level. Okay, so that has to do with frequencies, your energy level. And your third eye, you were really tapped into it, and you could see it with the third eye, with your mind. You'd have to talk to one of your guides. I know I've seen it there a few times myself. You have to have a reason to go there. But you have to also leave behind a lot of doubt, negativity, a lot of different ways of thinking and patterns that you have experienced in the past that you have to let go of. You have to go forward with a lot of positive and light energy. Sometimes it shows pictures. It's fun. Postcards from other places. My teachers will do that. So you would have to focus on the frequency. If you can remember the frequency. And you might travel there, astral travel there when you're at night sleeping. But you have to have a reason for going there, because not everybody gets to go there.
Well, this particular instance, I was focused on opening the third eye. That was all I was focused on. I guess that was the frequency at which I was resonating. And what made it so important to me and so experientially exciting was the fact that I don't usually see energetic things. I feel them, I hear them, I can vibrate with them. But this one I actually saw, and the picture of it is so embedded in my mind to want to go back and look at it some more. That's what made me ask the question.
That's what I mean by a postcard. They'll dangle tidbits in front of us like, they get to go here someday. Just keep doing what you're doing. Our teachers are the ones who allow us to travel there, or they escort us to a place to see something specific, to learn something specific. Maybe you don't know all the answers, but you were there to see or experience something. Then that's it. Now you go back to your new form and go back to what you were doing. But this is possible to get to when you have to have a reason for going there. That's all I can think of. It's not so much, yes, we can go there, but can we enter? That's a whole different thing. That's an astral travel to a dimensional world that we have to have a reason for going there. So it's bigger than it looks.
One of the things that I have discovered through my long years of study and working and all of that, it seems like the most important things that happen to me come in little flashes right at first, just like this that I'm talking about with Shambhala.
Yeah.
And I hang on to them because I know in my soul that they're important, and then later I'll reconnect with something a little bigger, and it's that little pieces of information becoming a bigger one that we were talking about earlier, I guess, yeah?
Yeah, well, they're also soul memories. You were escorted for a reason, to remember something, certain knowledge. And it comes to you. It might look like a golden energy field or silver gold mixtures. It's incredible when you can see that. Well, it comes at you like a wave. And then you don't remember it at the moment. They give you knowledge. And then you go back to doing what you're doing as you do in your research and studies, and you start remembering more stuff in detail. And you're trying to find it in books. It's hard to find in our current, even the internet, hard to find certain things that you have experienced. You know the truth. You've seen it. It's been given to you. It's not in the current books because it's ancient knowledge. You're not going to find it in certain books out here. You just have to convey to people. You convey the idea to people and pass the knowledge and the energy to those people who go, oh, yeah, I do remember that. And that's soul remembering. And we are a collective conscious on the planet. We all remember things. It's just making us collective remember. Welcome to the club.
I wrote a song once, and one of the lyrics in it is, we're here to remember things we already know. And that jumps up and vibrates really strongly with me through this whole conversation.
Right. Yeah, it's just, it starts with Reiki, not always with Reiki. A lot of people learn other energy systems, or they just naturally are so energetic, they have a different system, and they can advance without the whatever training's out there currently. They remember more than the rest of us. They're the star seeds, the indigos. These beings come with so much knowledge when they're born, and they start teaching us like 3, 4 years old. They're teaching us the truth. So, okay, so they're out there. The teachers are all out there. We are not alone.
I should have other questions, but I know they're there.
Well, let me talk about practical applications of energy work. Bunch of words.
That's very good.
It basically refers to people learn an energy system. And there are many people who go to all these seminars, listen to the TED Talks, whatever seminar they're listening to. I remember reading Dr. Norman Vincent Peale's book about the power of positive thinking way back in the 60s. And it
I remember
changed.
that.
Yeah, so from that book, or from those people who read the book, there are thousands of books on how to improve your life, how to think more positively, how to change your life with this and that, The Secret, and other things going on. The problem is these people may go pay that lots of money to go to these seminars and buy the books and buy the DVDs, listen to the movies, watch the CDs, music, whatever, and they're missing something. And it's that it's human energy is one thing. And the other is the way you think, the way these people think. They haven't changed their habits in their life. They may or may not have changed their what they eat and how they eat. It has to do with every day thinking in a positive context. The moment you sit up in bed, the first thing that comes to your mind should not be negative or, oh, God, I have to go to work, or, another expletives of gosh darn. So you start your day wrong when you start using negative words. If you change the positive words and think, it's a wonderful day, I feel fantastic, no matter if you have a severe headache or in pain, it's the positive words change things. So you get up thinking all the positive words you can, put forth. It's going to be a fantastic day. Driving to work will be wonderful. It's going to be a great day at work. It's going to be wonderful and easy flow. And that actually does help. And it puts you into a different frequency of positive thinking. It changes the body. It changes everybody around you. Your whole aura changes. Every day you use positive energy, positive thinking. Now, how to apply that every day is to every time you're doing something, you say something to someone, it should be on a positive note, not a negative note. And that after the end of 1 week, there's a big difference in shift in your consciousness because you are now resonating at a higher level, a different frequency of positive and not down where you were in the pits. People don't know that this works very simply. People meditate and do yoga. That's wonderful. They're clearing their monkey mind. That's fantastic. However, it does not advance them to higher consciousness. It merely makes the mind quieter. I don't meditate. I sit and talk to my guides most of the time, but I never meditate. And what's my train of thought here? Using positive words, actions, thinking, sharing, puts you to a higher frequency so that you see more, and you do have a shift of consciousness and awareness goes on. And that every day, when you talk to people, you are sending out energy. And if when you use the heart chakra, it's sending out lots of love. So you don't have to say love, you're just thinking loving thoughts. And you're sending out a happier, energetic field. So every day you put into practices how to be a more positive person. And things change around you. You can see it. You may lose a lot of friends and family because they were negative. They may, I don't like you anyway, you changed. Well, there's a reason why you're changing. You're changing to a higher being. Okay, I hope that helps.
The other part of that is, I was going to say, the other side of that is that as you do what you just explained, you actually change your body chemistry. You change your brain chemistry.
Everything
and as
changes.
the chemistry changes, it also raises your biology to higher frequencies. And as you do this, people are going to look at you funny, but that's all right. You don't have to keep them in your life if they don't want to raise frequencies with you. Is that not so? That's right. That was one thing I forgot to mention, that in the course of learning an energy healing system, it's one caveat that is never discussed. Because we're channeling a lot of energy, it keeps our physical body younger. It continually renews the cell structure of the body. When you are channeling more energy and you're speaking about it to people and you are using positive words and just kind words, happiness and joy, the
begin to feel it. They don't understand it. You are actually affecting their DNA, and you're affecting their body structure, the energy of their body with the energy you put out. All energy teachers know about this, but we don't really talk about it. You'll see someone who's an energy teacher, and you think, oh, he looks young, and he might be whatever age he is. The reason he's younger is the energy he can channel and send out to people. So in the power of positive thinking and in the practical applications of positive energy, this happens to us. We're always in a flow of energy. We never stop being a teacher. And we help everybody we go. No matter where we are, we affect them in different ways. We're a catalyst because we send out energy. We just, hi, how are you? Nice to meet you. That's a handshake. That's it. It's a constant thing. And when we're learning Reiki, or maybe say this first, when we're learning an energy system, one thing our teachers tell us consistently is that be careful what you say and think. Since energy in the brain is thought, is energy, from our mind, from our eyes, we send out energy. And you have to always be careful of the words you choose and what you say to people. It can be very, very hurtful or negative, or you can be very positive and helping people. Because it'll affect you negatively, it'll help other people positively depending on what we say and think. So every day has to be positive words. People have a hard time doing this. It's because they think it's hard, therefore they make it hard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm forever telling people it's as hard as you want it to be. One of my favorite things to do along these lines, it happened to me just day before yesterday. I was in a health food store picking up tea for my kombucha, and the lady behind the counter had a big smile on her face, and she says to me, hello, how are you today? And it was sort of a rote thing with her. I could tell by the tone of her voice. And I answered her in my usual way. I said, I am wonderful. How are you? And her smile, a light came on in her eyes, and she says, nobody's ever said that to me before. And it just tickled me. It uplifted me. It uplifted her. Everybody in line behind me started laughing and chatting, and we were conversing about certain things in the store, where before everybody just been kind of standing in the queue waiting for her to ring them up. And it just changed the entire complexion of that little group of people in that moment. And I'll bet you if I could have tracked their movements after, they would have been a little bouncier, a little happier, and their day would have gone a little bit better. Not that I'm crediting myself with doing that, but it was that energetic exchange that did it. And I just love the fact that that's a fact.
Yeah. What you did was release a lot of positive energy, a happiness that came from your whole soul being, and she felt it like, wow, she knows you're a teacher. And she went, wow, okay, and they all felt it. That's how energy is transmitted, very simply. And it's not, like I said, people go through the exercise of emotions, and they take forever to get into a state of being that makes them happy. It's instantaneous. Energy is instantaneous. All you have to do is think it, and it manifests. Maybe you can't see it, but it's going. Like
the other thing I would add to that is that once you continue to do it, you start to live there, and it is easy.
Yeah. Well, once you exist in that state, it's, we just like being here because it's better. I teach sometimes in energy classes how to do a simple energy ball. There's many books on it. It's very simple, but it's programmable. It's what you think, what you put into your ball for what's your purpose for healing yourself or healing somebody or an animal or sending across the world to stop war, whatever you can manifest. It's that strong. Instantly you think it, instantly it appears, instantly it is sent. It's the stature and the speed of thought. People don't understand how fast that is. It's done. You think it, it's done. So, that's what I teach when I have an energy class.
Very nice.
Change everybody.
Gail, we're running out of time, but before we go, I would like to ask you if everything we talked about today, do you have one salient point that you'd like for our listeners to take away with them from this conversation?
Just think nice thoughts. Think happy thoughts. It changes the world. People hate too much. They put labels on things they hate. But don't do that. Just think a good thought. Make a good comment.
Excellent.
That's all.
Well, thank you again for being on the show with us. All of Gail's contact information will be listed with the show when it gets posted out on YouTube. And I'm just very, very comfortable with our conversation today, Gail. I think you have given our listeners a whole lot to think about. So, listeners, you might want to revisit a couple times just so you catch everything, because she touched on a lot of hot spots. I want to thank all of you listeners for joining us on the show. And if you'd like to send me any kind of a question or suggestion for a topic that you'd like covered on the show, please send your question, your suggestion, or request to me at Chessie@ChessieRoberts.com. You can find all of my information and programs and all of that at ChessieRoberts.com. My music is at ArchersMeadow.com. And my book, Evolving into Self, From the Puppets to the Master, My Evolution from the Cradle to the Grid, which is the story of my awakening and how I use these energy frequencies that Gail has been talking about to raise my life, change my life, and make it what it is now, and how the grid was created, the life energy grid. And it's on Amazon.com, and if you do read it, please feel free to leave me a review. I would be very appreciative of that. So thank you for listening. Come back anytime to hear Get on the Grid with Chessie Roberts. Have a great week, bright blessings, and goodbye.